All right, welcome into the 10 p.m. edition of Pillow Talk, Pugs and Company. That's right, we changed it up a little. Every Monday through Friday, we do a show at noon. We call that High Noon with Pugs and Company. And then we come back again at 10 o'clock at night and we do this, the little Pillow Talk edition of what we got going on here. I have to apologize. I didn't do a show this afternoon. Couple of reasons. There wasn't really much going on. Well, that's not the real reason. The real reason is I had no voice, and I'm pushing tonight, but I've been quiet all day for the most part. A little bit, just yelling at the dog. But oh, hey, by the way, sunglasses in here. We bring sunglasses in. Hey, sunglasses, heads up! The dog is on your way. Is on his way over to you.
Yeah,
There
she is. She just made it here.
Okay. That's so funny because I made chicken like an hour and a half ago on the grill, and she was camped out right on the floor, right underneath where the chicken was, because I didn't eat it because I'm not really feeling hungry, but I wanted to cook it anyway just to have it. And she'd been camped out there until I came and sat behind the desk, and then she realized, okay, so we're not having chicken. And that's when she wanted to leave. So I just let her out and took her all of about 30 seconds to make her way over to your place.
Yep. And now she's got herself parked out in the chair.
She made her way over to your place, but before she did that, she ran the fence line, barking at phantom coyotes or drifters or whatever we have back there. I don't know what we have back there in the fence line. All right, let's say hi to live from New Orleans. It's James Parker. He's also with us each and every night here for Pillow Talk. Hi, James Parker. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Great to be here.
Yeah. Is it great? Is it great to be here?
No, I'm just saying that to be polite.
I know you're not sure. You're not sure about what you've committed to here. You were just doing call-ins and that was all fun, but now he finds himself here every night. And he doesn't have the he doesn't want to do it, but he's got 4 kids, he's got a wife he never sees. But then again, you never leave your house, right? I mean, you're pretty much you do everything from that studio there, don't you?
Yeah, I'm here most of the day. So this is par for the course for me. And it's really not that inconvenient. I have to walk to another house in my room, So
And what are you going to do? What are you going to be watching TV? You're hanging out with friends. You're talking to people who are interested in your hot takes. So it doesn't get any better than this. Go play Dungeons and Dragons.
It's
poker with the boys.
I like doing this. This is what I do. If I was a painter, I'd be painting right now. If I was a writer, I'd be writing right now. But I like doing talk shows.
Emil's a painter. He ain't painting right now.
Yeah.
He's doing this.
I do need to get to doing that, though.
Yeah, you do.
I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
So it's
coming.
coming.
You're back. All right.
It's coming.
He was in a creative ditch for a while. That happens to all of us. Coincidentally coincided with his abstinence from marijuana, right? That's pretty much when your creative juices dried up. What's that, James?
Just a coincidence.
Yeah. But, get it back.
I went and looked at some art today. Kind of got me inspired.
You went to like a gallery?
I went to a place where I knew that some paintings were hanging that I hadn't taken some time to see.
Okay.
And they were actually at North Park.
Okay.
North Park's a great mall if you want to get inspired, with art. They have a lot of different sculpture and different paintings on the wall. In terms of, as far as malls go, it's almost like an art museum in there.
Yeah. It's a great mall also if you want to go and be depressed about the way your life played out. You can just go there and look at all the people who were born into money, who are shopping at Neiman Marcus and all the other stores and be like, I can't even afford a Jamba Juice at this place.
Yeah, teenagers with Land Rovers.
Yeah. I hate that mall. I know you just paid it a compliment because it's got a beautiful artwork on the walls and all that.
It does, though. It has amazing
artwork,
and it changes out like every 6 months.
It's a rich people 1%er mall. It's it's nice, but I'll stick with Stonebriar. I'll stick with something that's got a Macy's. Is there a Macy's?
There's a Macy's at North Park.
Is there? There tumbleweeds blowing through it.
I went into Nordstrom today to buy some underwear.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever been to the Calvin Klein section for underwear?
Never.
I don't know.
They've got so many different style briefs.
Mm.
Like it's a pain in the ass to figure out the ones that you like, because like there's just little things that are a little bit different.
I imagine dudes who wear Calvin Klein underwear know a lot about pains in the asses.
Why?
That's a gay joke. So there's also the specter of you need
good
underwear.
That was a good gay joke. That was about the way gay men engage in sex. That was a good gay joke.
It was a
subtle,
solid,
it was nuanced.
It was good. It was good. But you when you need underwear, you go to Nordstrom. See, that's foreign for me, and probably for Pugs too. If I need underwear, I go to Walmart, maybe Target. Not Goodwill. I don't want someone else.
You don't buy recycled underwear.
Well, I just went there because I figured they would have the brand. And so I've been wearing Calvin's for like a long time because I wear the Fat Man boxer.
Yeah. They make that in Calvin Klein?
Yeah, they do.
But
that's the problem. You got to find it.
Look at him. You are the idea of what Calvin Klein thinks is a fat man. You wear Fat Man boxers from Calvin Klein. What is it, 34 waist? You lard ass? Calvin Klein.
No, they're just not the
tight. I hate those.
They're not the tight one with the pouch thing that you can't get it. You know, it's got no access.
Did we ever figure out what the front trap door was for? Like, why is that like supposed to be used ever?
Yes.
Is it just for like purposes of expansion, or can you get it out of there?
No, you can get it out of there.
Is that what it's for though? Or are you just getting it out?
I believe so. I mean, I use it that way.
Nobody does that. You do not. Everybody just pulls down, right? You pull down, you go over the top. So that's the way a real man pees.
Are we misusing it though? Because the trap door's got to be there for a reason. Too many companies do it. Too many brands do it.
It's the liberal left underwear lobby trying to get us to do something that we don't want to do.
It's not big underwear and some sort of trap door cartel. I'm just saying there's got to be a better explanation than trap door cartel within big underwear.
That was my issue with the Calvins that I was looking at. There were ones that did not have the trap door, which then means you got to do the pull down, which I'm used to doing the trap door.
You're really, so you are accustomed to using the trap door and not the pull down. The pull down is so easy.
Well, it's not any easier than if
you rest your balls on the flap. It holds it down. You know, you can do whatever you need to do.
Not at all. Not at all. Like I undo the zipper and then I work through the trap door.
Wait a second. You have a zipper on your underwear?
No, on my pants.
He's on his pants.
Oh, well, yeah, that was a given, dude. Nobody thinks you're not pulling your pants down first.
Well, I don't know. You were saying so you undo the zipper, and then how do you do the pull down?
Wait a second. You pee through the zipper? You undo the zipper and pee? You don't unbutton the pants?
I don't have to because I got the trap door.
Oh, man, you are doing way too much work to go to the bathroom. You just walk up, you unbutton, you pull it down, flop it out, go to the bathroom.
No, you don't have to unbutton. You can see. I'm in the middle. I unbutton and then I pull down. I go through the zipper, but
the zipper comes down when you unbutton. That's sort of what happens with mine, anyway. You unbutton and the zipper comes down enough, and then you pull down, you flop out. I
don't have to unbutton. I just pull down.
I don't have to unbutton either. And I usually don't.
Wow, you guys really do. You go through what I would think would be an extraordinary step. The zipper is too dangerous, man. I don't want to be near that's you ever caught yourself?
The zipper is dangerous if you're going commando. But it's not dangerous if you got the underwear on.
Nah, you can still clip it through a piece of cloth, a little piece of underwear cloth. You can clip it if you're zipping too close. Especially
I've never clipped it that way, but I have clipped it when I've been commando.
God.
What's wrong, James?
That's enough of that.
Clipping it, and then you got a little sore, and it lasts for like a week.
Oh, I was so embarrassing when I did it. I was like in 3rd grade, and I had to get my aunt to help me get it out.
No, you didn't. Stop.
Oh, I did. It was awful.
See, that's why we should have stopped 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, we're done. We can move on from that. We don't need to talk. So I do want to tell, last night I had a hell of a night, man. And you know, I tell you, nobody wants to hear about your dreams and nobody wants to hear about your vacation. But, you know, I had a weird thing going on last night. It's been like 100 degrees here in this part of the world for the last couple of days. So the air conditioning, which I usually keep at like 78, that ain't working. The 78 ain't getting it done when it's 100 degrees outside because it's, you know. So I had to crank it down. and I started to get like my allergies were going nuts because of the air conditioning causes, it's a whole weird kind of thing that goes on, but the air conditioning dries me out and cakes me up, and then I can't breathe, and then and it's horrible. But last night I got these like awful chills. So I took my medication, my allergy medication late last night, and I was tossing and turning and I couldn't sleep. I had the strangest dream last night. Have you ever had this dream? And I looked it up online. It's a common dream, but there is no consensus on what it means. Have you ever had a dream where you're, okay, I'm going to try and be a little bit less disgusting about it, but where you're defecating and you're wiping and you just can't, in the dream you're wiping and you just can't get clean. It's just more and more and more and more. And like you're wiping 20 times and it's still there. It's a real dream. It's
never had it.
It's
never.
Well, it's common.
0 times.
Really, God, it was such a disturbing dream. I mean, I woke up like, oh, I don't like
why?
that.
Because you ran out of toilet paper?
No, because it was just frustrating. It was frustrating in the dream where it's like, what is going on? Why do I keep wiping and I can't get clean? And there's a whole bunch of different theories online about what that dream means. It's one of the most common dreams out there that people asked. Quora, anyway. I like Quora's answers. I don't know if you guys ever use Quora, but I like the answers to those kinds of things. And some people say it means that you have guilt about something. Like, and I'm like, oh no, that makes way too much. Like, oh, I'm unclean. Is that what you're getting? Stupid. You know, that's all. Dream analysis is such a game, but it was disturbing. I had a really disturbing night last night, and then I finally got to sleep at like 2:30, and then the dog was sleeping out on the back porch, and dog went absolutely nuts at like 2:45. Woke me up. I had to pull her in here. Then she wanted to go home at like 7:30, so I had to let her back out. She's sleeping on the floor right by the door. I had to bring her in. I would have sent her home to you after sleeping in the chair, but I couldn't be guaranteed after her barking on the fence line at 3 o'clock that she was going to go home. So I had to drag her in here. You shut up. You shut up. And then I only got like 5 hours of sleep, and I woke up. I had no voice. Feeling a little better now, though. The allergies are still pretty bad.
When you called this morning, I was like, what the hell happened to that?
What do you mean?
Your voice was like gone.
Yeah, and I had been up for about 45 minutes and drank a cup of coffee and everything. So that was about as good as it was going to get for 3 hours. I had to just shut up and just hot coffee. You're supposed to drink tea, but I hate tea. So hot water or hot coffee is, supposed to help it. And it did. It came back. I didn't say much today. I just kind of kept my mouth shut and played online. And you know what I did? This is the one benefit. Well, whatever. I guess it's a personal positive side effect from this whole Gabby and Brian story that we've been covering. I told you I was going to do it last night. I started rewatching Ken Burns National Parks today, and I got through 2 episodes. So like 3 hours of it. I learned all about John Muir. I learned all about the formation of Yosemite. I learned all about stuff like how Yellowstone is only a national park, and we only have national parks because Montana wasn't a state yet. So they couldn't just give it. Like the first park that was set aside by Congress was Yosemite, but California was already a state. So they just said, yeah, okay, well, let California run Yosemite. And then a couple of years later came Yellowstone, and they're like, let's do what we did with Yosemite with Yellowstone. And they were like, yeah, but there's nobody to manage it. So they said, all right, let's create a thing called national parks. And we were off and running. It's really interesting. You found it boring, right? You couldn't get through the first episode.
Are you talking to me or Emil?
Yeah, you're the one that said you saw, right?
You're the one who watches it.
Okay.
Emil doesn't watch anything. He doesn't even know. He thinks Ken Burns pitched for the Yankees. He doesn't know this guy.
Right, but for the libertarian in me, it kind of ruins it in the fact that, number one, why couldn't that just be managed at the state level? Why does there even need to be national parks?
Because there was no state. That's why I just explained why the national park.
I know, but the territory of Montana
there was nobody to manage it.
And it's not like that's what's going on now. Now Montana is a state, so can you turn it back over to them?
Realize
Also, I just have a weird thing about me too, that I realize I'm probably in the minority on this, so I don't want to offend people. I'm just admitting my flaws here. Is I'm not impressed by mountains and trees and scenery. Like it's cool, but other people think it's far more cool than I do. Like when they talk about how the Grand Canyon is just absolutely beautiful, like it's jaw dropping. Like you have no idea until you see it for yourself. It looks like a big hole.
Have you been there?
No, I haven't been there.
Then see, you don't know of what you speak. And
I know.
besides, we've already
And I understand that. And I'm coming
dead
to you
inside. We've established this. You have no compassion. You lack empathy for your fellow man. You are completely dead inside.
No. Look, and it's the opposite. Let me go the other direction. Here's the stuff that does impress me: the Sears Tower or the Willis Tower, whatever it is now.
Now you're just pandering to me.
No, it's not. I'm saying like actual, like the Eiffel Tower, things that men did that took like brains and brawn.
Yeah, you're an atheist, though, right? You're
so
an atheist,
things
right?
that are built, not things that were just here.
Right, like the no one built that mountain. I'm not that impressed. So some tectonic plates like smashed together and made a mound of rocks. I mean, that it's cool. It's not ugly. It looks nice.
James, here's the majesty of it, and that's why I asked you. And I don't know if you're public, but I thought you were an atheist. Are you?
I'm not an atheist. No.
You're not. What are you?
I'm a Christian.
No, you're not. Since when? Since when?
It's when I'm an ordained minister.
Yes, as a goof, you're an ordained.
I've done 2 weddings. You got weddings already.
Okay, well then, all right. But so I stand corrected. But the difference there is you don't believe in the majesty of God's creation. You don't believe in the absolute awe-inspiring virtues of nature. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm late to this party. I didn't really get it until like a few years back when I started roaming the woods and living on a wetland preserve where I just started really going, wow, there are some cool ass things. But I've seen the Grand Canyon. It's pretty amazing. I've seen a lot of it's pretty amazing. And the very idea of what we did here in America was the decision was made that everywhere else in the world, the most beautiful places in Europe, they were owned by aristocrats. They were claimed. They were private lands. You couldn't just go there. The idea of America is that it's for the people. And when they looked at these things and they found these parks, they said, you know what? We're never going to we're never going to strip mine here. We're never going to build factories here. We're going to keep these absolutely beautiful things for the people of this nation to enjoy at their own leisure, not for the aristocrats, not for the nobility, not for some king to just build a castle in the middle of Yellowstone and go, it's all mine. No, that was a truly American idea. And it's a really beautiful thing.
Until it comes to the Grand Canyon, like who the hell is going to build there anyway?
Well, I'm sure. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? If that wasn't a national park, you don't think there'd be condos and
dude,
it's so hot.
Absolutely would.
It would be cool if there was condos. If they had like a roller coaster that went up one side, came down, and then came up the other side.
Down there.
That's what I want to see there.
No,
you know what?
Emil, hold on, stop. Emil, you're absolutely wrong, because the reason that they decided to do this with these things out west is because of the way you people in your part of the state of New York screwed up Niagara Falls. They looked at Niagara Falls and went, oh my God, we completely ruined this beautiful place. Let's allow commercialization to never infect God's beauty again.
But nobody lives on Niagara Falls.
No, but it's been ruined. It's been absolutely, that is one of the main reasons.
Have you been there?
No, but I just watched.
So then, how do you know it's ruined? I've been there. It's not ruined.
The entire thing about it. Yes, when you compare it to places like Yosemite and Yellowstone and places that are national protected parks, it's a gross commercialization. You got to
be able to get close to it. So they built structures and they built roads close to it.
They showed like dirtbag motels all over, and like there's an
element of
and there's a power plant, a private company,
wax museums, and kind of
and smokestacks and pollution. There's all kinds of things there, and that's why they established national parks. They made a mistake with not nationalizing Niagara Falls, and they went, okay, we're not going to do that.
It couldn't have been done at the state level. It couldn't have been done by the state of New York. It couldn't have been done by the county, whatever Buffalo's in, or whatever.
In the state of New York, sold it off to private industry. Yeah,
good. It's fine. It looks fine to me. What's wrong with it?
The Canadian, there's also a Canadian side. Are you telling me that the Canadians did it wrong too?
No, the Canadians actually did it right. They talked about that. The Canadians protected it. It's the American side that's got all the garbage and trash. It's not the Canadians.
Well, and the American side's got all the rocks at the bottom too.
Okay. Well,
look, if I go to Niagara Falls, I want there to be a T-shirt shop within walking distance of Niagara Falls, so I can say I got this T-shirt right next to Niagara Falls. You see a T-shirt shop, and they're like, "Oh, they garbaged the place up." No, that's what the people wanted.
No, they have
you
gift
don't
shops.
Like it. The market was
services run gift shops. They're clean and they're not overly commercialized. You don't see a million billboards for a petting zoo or or water slides as you pull into Yellowstone. You don't see that garbage.
Pugs, apparently people like that or it wouldn't be in business. Apparently there's
because Niagara Falls does a lot more business than Yellowstone, the most visited recreation spot on earth. Yeah, you're right, James.
I didn't know this was a comparison between Yellowstone and Niagara
You
Falls.
made the comparison. You just said apparently.
How many more people would go to Yellowstone if we could commercialize that up a little bit more?
Yeah, like they should have a casino there at least.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Absolutely right.
You people are pigs. You are white man pigs. Listen to you. Are you insane? You have both of you are dead inside.
Why do people go to Vegas? It's a big desert that has a casino.
Well, you need to have options. I would rather go to Yellowstone than go to Vegas at this point in my life. When I was in my 20s, it was different, but yeah.
And when you go to Vegas and then you take a jaunt over to Yellowstone to come back to Vegas.
It's okay. All right.
That's what happens.
Look, you people, I to some degree, you're playing devil's advocate, I must believe, but you're also just awful people. Sunglasses is dead inside. Look at the glasses. He's hiding something. He's got something going on. And James, we've already established, lacks empathy and compassion.
And if you built there, you'd be burned out right now.
And he's a typical Christian. He doesn't appreciate God's good works. He just became a pastor through what? A back of a magazine ad?
Universal Life Church.
Yes. Okay, so you're a Mooney. You're a Mooney pastor. That's what you are.
Hey, but listen, when you talked about how when it was owned by feudal lords and instead of there being a nice rolling hill there, they put a castle, I would rather have a castle there.
You can't go there. You'll get shot because it's not your land. You can't. That's the point. In Europe, you can't just.
Well, then how are they supposed to make money off the castle? How am I supposed to sell T-shirts to tourists?
By enslaving the peasants. That's how.
That was when you're at Yellowstone,
trying to get. Oh, look at you, anti-American bitches! You people just hate this country so much. You hate everything it stands for. Listen to you. You're standing up for the aristocratic system of medieval Europe. Listen to you.
No, I'm saying capitalism would have made it better. If we're not under a feudal system, if you're in Yellowstone and you own some land, you're going to build a little shop that sells maybe T-shirts, probably bear spray, or maybe picnic baskets.
You two idiots are frustrating me so much I'm not going to be able to do a noon show tomorrow. This is what happened last night. I yelled at a football game, and then I came here and I yelled at you two morons. Okay,
hey, how'd the Packers do? I don't even know.
They kicked ass in the second half.
Yeah, they came back.
Who was the quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers ended up with like 4 TDs.
He's back.
Okay. Yeah, he's back.
All right.
It was 17-14 Detroit at the half, and then not so much in the second half.
All right, so let's get into some of the things that happened today. By the way, you two idiots are good for almost nothing, but you are good for one thing. You have alerted me to the South Carolina Murdoch story, which I'm now all in. If you guys want to go in, I spent the last 2 hours watching nothing but YouTube videos from news reports about it and reading New York Times pieces. So
you probably know more than me then.
I'm loaded for bear. So I'd like to touch. Look,
I know nothing other than I kind of grazed through it and like saw that there were like 5 murders or 6 murders. And then I thought, I'll tell you about it because James was barking about it a couple weeks ago. And so now if you're going to get into it, then I'm going to have to do some research. But
here's the hard part. Can you do it in chronological order?
Yeah, I can. You're talking about the Murdoch case?
Right. Right.
Dude, I can take you all the way back to 2015
that's kind of where it started, right?
In the death of a classmate who was gay, who was run over on the road. Yeah, I can take you all the way back there. Buster Murdoch was involved in that one. And here's the thing about this South Carolina family. The dad, Alex Murdoch, seems to be, the prime guy in the crosshairs right now. The whole family is sketchy, man. They got dead housekeepers. They got a dead wife and a dead son. They got a dead girl on a boat. They got a dead gay guy in the street. They got some Cletus who was hired to murder him in a suicide attempt for insurance money. This is a crazy story. So maybe we'll get to
spoil it.
Well, I just wanted to, tantalize you guys.
Okay, I just love the story. I love it. Go.
By the way, Clovis in the chat room just said that he just quoted the entire plot line for season 3 of Yellowstone, the series I was talking about yesterday. Yeah, you did. The bad guys plot line. So there you go. You're the bad guy.
That just makes Yellowstone propaganda.
Yeah, I'm not even watching it.
Yeah. No, I know. You just naturally would you don't even have to know what the bad guy's plot line is. You already feel that way. That's what he's saying. All right. So what's the latest on Gabby? Well, we had some confirmation today. The Teton County coroner came out around 3:00 this afternoon our time and announced that it is officially Gabby Petito, the body that was found there on what is it?
This is a nothing burger day for that story.
For it to be a nothing burger day, you texted me within seconds of it breaking.
And it was a nothing burger. Like, okay, they confirmed that it was a homicide, and they confirmed that it was her. Like, we didn't know one or two or both.
It doesn't move the story. It doesn't move the story, and it doesn't help us trying to figure anything out. All it does is confirm what we all suspected. Now it's
pissed me off all day. And then they resumed the search at Carlton Reserve.
Yeah. Although here, this is what's been breaking in the last hour. As a matter of fact, just before we pulled on here, I had to turn off the police scanner because the Sarasota County Police Scanner is the #1 scanner in the country. Right now, it's over 5,000 people are listening. And it's because of this. This came up earlier today. Here, let me make sure that we got this. All right. You know what? Let's make this bigger.
There's one point of information, or one new thing today.
What's that? Hit me with it.
The photo of the guy walking in the dark.
Oh, yeah. No, this comes from the last couple of hours here. So we'll listen to this. This got everybody crazy, and it flooded the Sarasota County Police Scanner, myself included. I've been listening to it for the last couple of hours. Here we go. Let's give this a listen. Here it is.
Full beard, carrying a large green hiking backpack, possibly near the apartments on the north side of the preserve.
Back up. 53, 10, 26. Number 12, Spruce.
5309 units. 5309 units that just attached to that 13-person 5200 Geneva Road, Red Bucks Blue. Callers advising that as a civilian, possibly sees Brian Laundrie.
Thank you.
Full beard, carrying a large green hiking backpack, possibly near the apartments on the north side of the preserve.
And there you go. That's got everybody at Twitter. That the police. Oh, sorry. I thought I turned it off.
How long ago that happened?
That happened 2 hours ago. And
12,
all right, we're still listening.
5309 units.
All right. So basically, according to the scanner, they have an apartment surrounded on the edges of the preserve. Someone called and said they thought they saw Brian Laundrie. However, multiple reports have been coming in from unblue-checked people. So these are just, people who are not necessarily, they're civilians. We'll put it
unblue check.
Unblue checked, non-blue, non-important people. Right. Number of reports have come on from them that it is not Brian Laundrie. It's just a bad time in America to be a skinny 20-something with a shaved head. It's because, if
profiling,
I'm happy I'm fat, right? I mean, that's the only, and old, because there's no way anyone would confuse my bald head with Brian Laundrie. But so that's what's going on. It's still developing, although it's starting to not look some here. I'll pull up the police scanner. Let me see how many people have bogged out, because that's usually a good indication of whether the police scanner sleuths, who I like to align myself with, have bogged off the story or not. Let me see what's happening here. Good way to tell is, you go to the police scanner and then you hit top scanners in the country. And whatever the top scanner is where the most interesting thing is happening. And it has been Sarasota County for the last couple of hours. And let's see, what is it? It's still Sarasota County. Okay. And now it's doubled. There was 4,000 people before. Now there's 8,000 people listening. So I don't know. Apparently
And what are you hearing?
I'll leave it up, but it's there was a standoff. Somebody called and said it was Brian Laundrie, and then what happened? Then the police went there, and there was apparently gunfire exchanged, which is interesting. I'm not as excited about the because it's been toned down in the last 45 minutes that it's just some drug dealer. The police put out a Schedule 60 call And then I had to go Google search the Sarasota County Police calls, and that means narcotics. So
the old Schedule 60.
Yeah. So this is apparently just a bald drug dealer who got his game all overturned because he looks like Brian Laundrie had a bad time in his life.
What's in the backpack? Nothing.
Yeah. What drugs? I'm guessing he had a backpack filled with drugs because they said it was. But like I said, there are still more people listening. Oh, the other thing that was interesting was that the primary Sarasota County and Northport police scanners, moments after the call that I just played for you, and this usually happens when it's a high profile case, they switched off the scanners and went to a secret channel, which is not supposed to be done because these are supposed to be public. We're supposed to be able to know what our police are doing, which, I think that there might be some rule that says they're allowed to do it in terms of, strategy for when they're in a tough situation, but they did that. So all we're getting now is the 8,000 people are listening to the general Sarasota County and Venice and North Point police channel, which is not the specific channel that the police who are undertaking this operation have switched to. We don't know what that is. That's a secret.
So back to Nothing Burger. They confirmed it was her, and they confirmed it was homicide. That's all we got today.
Yeah. Well, the report there was that they're not going to give the cause of death. They gave the
Why?
They gave the positive ID because the family had already been notified, and then they gave the cause of death homicide. But they're not going to go out and give the details until the entire family has been told. And that's something that I think
We'll pick up the phone and tell them.
We don't have a right to know, actually. We just need to know that there was a homicide and there's something. We don't need to know the grisly details. I believe that the family has a right to say, no. So we may not know, but that's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on the family to okay the release of the specifics. And they may not even know the exact specifics yet. All they know is that it looks like homicide. So that rules out a fall, an accident. When they say it's a homicide and they know it's a homicide, that tells me that there's probably a bullet hole in the brain or something like that.
That's a human being killed by another human being, and it wasn't an accident.
It wasn't an animal. It wasn't an accident. It's been determined by the Teton County coroner that this was a homicide. Details.
I think they should tell you, because if it is Brian Laundrie or it is somebody else and he's used a weapon, then you want to be away from that guy.
Well, no, they shouldn't tell you because it's someone's daughter, and this is a very sensitive time. And just because we have all been piqued by the curiosities of this story doesn't mean we have any right to exploit the death of this child.
I don't think we're exploiting the death.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Come on, any truth.
I mean, they used they used the people, the group to solve this. So giving information out about how it occurred.
No, we don't have a right to know that. We will know that. We will find it out, but we don't have a right to know it right now. The family has to be taken into consideration first. See, both of you are absolutely dead inside. This is like crazy. You don't see how that could be something that you might want to do, something morally proper to allow the family time to get the details, process the details before you put it out on CNN. I mean, I can totally get that, and I understand why they said homicide, and it's been her. I mean, those are pretty. For my own edification, I'd like to have all this information, but not getting it, I completely understand why we don't. It's called decency. Sunglasses.
I don't see it like that at all. I don't. I mean, I get why you might not want it to be public, but how long are you going to be able to keep it from being public? I mean, at some point, it's going to get out there.
They still haven't named Brian as the chief suspect, but Brian has not been named in this homicide. Brian, as of right now, is still just a person of interest.
Right, but look, I get East's point, but there's a little gray area in between. After the trial is done and concluded and all the appeals are done, we deserve to know everything that happened and every piece of evidence that needs to be.
Why do we deserve that? I'm not saying... Go ahead. I just want to know why you think we deserve that.
It's an accountability thing. So if they are cheating people, we can go back and audit the criminal justice system and know that guy really deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life or get the death chamber, death chair, whatever, death penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the transparency, that just invites corruption that could go unchecked.
I don't think we need the gory details.
They didn't spare anybody when the Simpson died.
Yeah, no, we got all the nasty details of that.
Yeah, they didn't.
That doesn't mean we were seeing photos of blood on the sidewalk, the glove, the knife.
I would also argue that O.J. Simpson was a public personality, whereas Gabby and Brian are not. Brian is now, Gabby is now, but they weren't before. They didn't ask for this. They weren't celebrities. So, the celebrity media is who jumped all the TMZs and all that. Well, TMZ wasn't around, but the Inquirer and, all those kinds of things.
You don't think the Inquirer is interested in this story?
I don't know. I haven't seen an Inquirer in 20 years. Do they still have them? I don't know. Isn't TMZ the new Inquirer? I don't know. Fox News is the new Inquirer. I don't know.
When's the last time, both of you, when's the last time you bought a magazine?
Nah.
I don't.
Yeah.
What year?
I had one delivered today.
What magazine?
Paper City.
The hell's Paper City?
A 1%er Highland Park magazine.
Oh, is that what it is?
The Society magazine.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, they just drop it off. I didn't buy it.
Right. Top 10 home tennis courts.
Yeah. It's always stories about, somebody who owns a football team and their daughter who's now a beauty pageant contestant, stuff like that. It's always
that's that other one, like Park City's People or some crazy.
Oh, is it? Maybe I got confused. Then you received multiple magazines because I've seen that one on your coffee table.
Yeah. Well, Paper City or D Magazine is another one.
The last time, to answer your question, James, I can now tell you the last time that I bought a magazine was when I flew to New York. So, been a couple of years. Not New York. What I say? Washington D.C. It's been a couple of years. It's been about 3 years.
What year was
that? 2018, maybe.
Oh wow, you bought one that recently?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. My phone. I wasn't sure I could use it or whatever. So yeah, at the gift shop, I knew it was going to be like a 2-hour flight, so I bought a couple magazines.
Yeah, and this is good from the chat room here, Pugs. And I'm going to get angry about this. They had no trouble saying the lesbians were shot and found naked.
Great point, Steve. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. What do you got to say about that one?
What the fuck? What do you mean? What do I got to say about that?
Well, you're Mr. Decency. Oh, it's a form of decency. Sunglasses. You're not being decent here.
Yeah, just because someone was indecent with the lesbians doesn't mean that it's okay. You keep showing these excuses, O.J. Simpson, and this things that I'm saying. Yeah, I got a problem with that too. I'm being consistent. You simply want gory details.
I don't want gory details. I want to know what he did or somebody did, so it doesn't happen again.
Why do you need? So it doesn't happen again, really? That's what you're worried about?
Who this guy is, what he's capable of, if he's armed, how he's armed.
Right.
Hey, speaking of, that's another thing that came up today. The Daily Mail somehow got pictures of Brian Laundrie's bedroom. You want to see what was going on in Brian Laundrie's bedroom? Apparently there was a gun. All these reports are saying he had a gun and it was on the wall in his bedroom. I don't see no gun. You guys tell me if you see a gun in here. All I see is a funky ass bedroom, and I can totally understand why Gabby wanted to get the hell out of this relationship because this is funky.
He's a guy that's described as someone who smells.
Yes, a guy who's described as she was an angel. She was beautiful. She could have been, the girl next door. She could have done Hollywood movies. She's a Reese Witherspoon type. She's
even her BO smells good.
Yeah, whatever. She was an adorable little girl. And here you go. This is what she was stuck with. All right, so look at this dude's bedroom. I'll pull it up. I don't know how well you guys
can living at home. What do you expect?
I expect a better bedroom than that. When I lived at home, my bedroom kicked ass. My bedroom was cool.
Got a keyboard?
Cool. So no, but tell me if you guys see a gun. Look at this bed. This is where Gabby was sleeping with him. Were they sleeping in the same? It's a 3-bedroom home. So I got to imagine that Gabby was sleeping in this bed with him. Look at it. It's like a double bed. I mean, she's tiny. He's skinny, but still.
Look at the lighting system.
All right. So already I can tell that she does not sleep in there.
Why?
Because there would be 8 pillows on the bed.
Is that a girl thing? Well, there's one for him and one for her. But no, dude, she didn't.
There's no dust ruffle. There's no comforter and sheet. That looks like one of those pads you use in the back of a moving truck under a Navajo blanket. A girl does not sleep there.
Dude, she's a van life chick. What makes you think that she? Oh, what happened to my camera?
Well, because they're 22, and your parents, even if you're cool, when your 22-year-old has a girlfriend that wants to live with you, you don't necessarily let them sleep in the same little sorry Navajo bed over there. So she probably does have another room. There's not a girl item in here except for that pink hat over on the wall. So
you know what? Honestly, I now that I realize this, this is a picture of the bedroom from 2017. So this was before she lived there with him. So she's only lived there with him for the last year.
Oh,
so,
well, score for me for my excellent sleuthing abilities. But okay, do you see a gun?
Painting,
I don't see a gun.
That painting on the desk looks like they're having an orgy.
This painting right here, E?
Where?
Is that what you see?
Oh, I'm sorry. My finger.
Don't you see a lot of
this one right here?
That one.
Yeah, I can see it better. It's demons with knives attacking each other. So it's a very chill photo.
Emil sees an orgy though, so that's what
I see a lot of bodies in weird places and people in weird places.
We can diagnose Emil already.
It's demons with knives and they're attacking one another. It's a very.
How long's it been, Emil? God.
Yeah. Is that and that's Batman up there. He's got a Batman photo.
Yeah, Batman keyboard.
Right, not especially intimidating. I still
looks
don't
like
see
he's got a mirror on
bunch of murder books.
He's got
bunch of hats because he's prematurely balding. That I recognize right away as a staple of any of us balding dudes. American flag. He loves America. This is like another dude wielding an axe. I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of typical though of kids, man. I'm telling you, James. Are your boys
is that a dog bone under the bed? Or a sock?
Let's see there. Where
it's like a container store.
Yeah, here?
Yeah.
These are containers. I can see them better because my picture is bigger than the original. But yeah, these are like plastic containers, and it looks like it's filled with binders or notebooks or something like that. You got headphones here. You got a folding card table, folding chair. It's not a great room. Even for a single dude in 2017, that's not a great room. He could have done a little bit more with
Well, if you're living with your parents, you can't stack up a little bit of money and have better conditions.
Yeah, man. Look, I guess I was an only child, but my room was badass. I had a great room as a kid.
Guarantee you, whoever's making the movie's like, okay, that set's not going to cost us a bunch.
Yeah. He's got outdoor lighting system right here.
All right, what are we gonna say as someone who has kids?
Let me see. Yeah. So all of this stuff, all of this violent imagery, this gore and dark stuff. I mean, we can certainly make conclusions now based on what we know about Brian. I mean, see, he's a dark dude. Look, he likes all of that stuff. But man, isn't that like every kid now? Isn't every kid into like all of this dark, creepy stuff? Are your kids? You've got boys. How old's your oldest boy?
11.
Okay, so you're like mine, 12, and right in between these. So it's 9, 11, and 12 are our boys. My kid I get really upset with my kid because he loves his war games. You know, he loves he loves shooting Nazis. He loves the World War II version of Call of Duty.
How many kids do you have, Emil?
1.
Okay. So I have 2 boys. One of them is totally into that. The other one is not. In fact, when we play Grand Theft Auto, my oldest son, the 11-year-old, he's Rex. He doesn't like to play where when you're driving, you just swerve up on the sidewalk and run through about 6 people and just laugh and go on about your business. So we have to play Rex rules where you actually stop at the red lights and you don't.
I love it. Rex is your oldest.
Yes, he's my oldest.
Yeah, because I remember when Rex was born. I'm digging Rex. Rex sounds like he's on his way to being a responsible citizen.
Yeah, and so the oldest daughter is okay with just indiscriminate stealing of cars, because that's another thing that Rex doesn't like is when you steal someone's car. But the middle 2 kids are cool with it, and the bookends is what we call the oldest and the youngest. They don't like that. They like it when you play nice, and it's not fun when you just run around and punch a lady on the sidewalk for no reason, or you pull out your knife and start stabbing. You know, it's Grand Theft Auto, so you can just start killing indiscriminately. They literally don't want to even watch you if you're doing that, and they turn every game into a fun game. So I don't want to blanket the next generation with anything because it's a mix. So now we just got to talk about what's the mix. Is it 60-40, 70-30, 80-20? On kids that are inherently into gore and violence when it's made available to them, or what?
Well, here's the distinction that I'll make with my kid. My kid likes the World War II stuff, and he says it for all the right reasons. He's a fan of. I don't think he's ever seen Inglourious Bastards, but whenever you ask him, why, what's the obsession with Call of Duty World War II? He's like, killing Nazis. I like killing Nazis. So
well, World War II is appealing for that reason, because you have an enemy that we all agree needed.
And there's a moral justification to killing Nazis.
And,
you know?
and there's no gray area on who was the good guys and the bad guys in that one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Big
and then
we're the good guys.
And then he likes crazy, like now his big thing is he'll just watch endless NFL films on YouTube of like dirtiest hits. He loves the dirtiest hits in football history. He just watches those over and over again. So getting back to the Brian story on this picture, by the way, that's the garage. We'll look at the garage in a second, pick that apart. But getting back to this room, this stuff, like my kid ain't into this stuff. My kid doesn't like dark, scary demons, and he doesn't like depictions of, just gratuitous blood and murder and mayhem and all that kind of stuff. It's so when I see this, I think, isn't that what most kids are into nowadays anyway? But knowing what Brian Laundrie is accused of doing, you can maybe go,
he's not accused yet.
Well, okay, come on.
He's a person of interest, but
I'm rolling. Why would you interrupt me with that sunglasses? What's the point?
Just want to keep you where you keep me.
Keep me frosty. I got you. So, I mean, hindsight being 2020, and we have nothing but hindsight on what kind of character Brian Laundrie truly is at this point. Is that a little disturbing? Is that a tell? E, what do you think?
I don't see anything in there that makes me think that he would kill somebody.
Okay, so that's not a tell for you. That's not something that you could now, in retrospect, knowing what we know, go, oh, well, he was into dark stuff. I mean, he was a voracious reader, and he loved crime novels. He loved, and the book he was reading in this picture, there's another picture here, is actually a story about someone who murdered 3 women. So, that's kind of interesting. Where is it?
The Parker story.
Laundrie was apparently an avid reader, with some pointing to a video on the couple's YouTube page showing him reading a book about a missing woman. He is seen here camping on the Appalachian Trail with Petito. We got
a lot of pens and markers.
Yeah, well, he fancied himself a creative, I guess. I guess he was a journaler, which would suggest we'll get a whale of a note if he does kill himself. Trying to explain everything. Look at it. In happier times. The Kusum Tusum in happier times. All right, let's look at this one. Here's the garage. All right, so here's what, there was also a punching bag hanging from the ceiling of the garage. Yeah, like 75% of every other garage in America. There's a punching bag there. That doesn't mean anything.
Looks like it's never been punched.
I don't know.
Why isn't there like a little worn out area about halfway down?
There's a propane cylinder down there.
Somebody got a motorcycle.
A little grilling.
Is that a motorcycle or a moped?
Well, does it have pedals?
A bike.
I don't know. We'll see it right here. Does that look like a bike to you? Is that what you're thinking?
A bike to me with the straight handlebars across.
Doesn't this look like a motor or something?
Like a little dolly there that he's going to move things around.
Milk crate. He's got a milk crate, bandsaw. I mean, now we're just pointing shit out random.
We're just saying things.
There's nothing. Again, there's nothing there that makes me think that garage is the garage of a killer.
Looks like he has the same brand of propane that we use here at the 1%er compound.
Blue Rhino, right? Is that what that one is?
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Yeah, Blue Rhino. America's #1 choice for propane.
Looks like he only pulls one car in the garage. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, we saw the driveway. They're driveway people. That's a what are they? That's an indication.
They had a camper on that side of the garage.
What's that?
They had a camper up on some kind of resting thing.
That's another indication of white trash. You keep your I'm surprised they didn't have jet skis in the driveway. That's like a #1 indicator of white trash. If you have nothing in your garage because you need to use the garage for added space because
I resemble that remark. I just don't have them in the driveway.
Yeah, oh yeah, you resemble that remark. The only thing you resemble is that you also own jet skis. You have a beautiful dock with multiple ports. You've got you're white trash.
Yeah. Hey, so in that other picture you had though, it had the book cover, and that was
go back?
The top of a Chuck Palahniuk book.
That's the lullaby one. That's the one about the SIDS deaths.
Yeah, the babies that keep dying over and over. So that's totally normal and cool.
There you go. That one right there. So
yeah, there you go. So you can see the top of that. That's a lullaby.
Now, James, you seem more familiar with this Chuck Palahniuk than I am. I mean, I only know Fight Club, and honestly, I think Fight Club's one of the most overrated films of all time. But what is Chuck Palahniuk's deal?
Oh, you stop it! My Chuck Palahniuk knowledge is almost all secondhand, from what I've overheard. Because you know who's a huge Chuck Palahniuk fan is Del Pullen. Remember that dude?
Yeah, your buddy Del. Yeah.
Yeah. So I lived with him for a while, and so I got to hear all about it. So that's my knowledge of Chuck Palahniuk. I haven't read these books. I'm not a learned man, so don't give me too much credit here. I'm just pointing a few things out that look, I watched a lot of creepy stuff too. I mean, you go through my YouTube history, it's like, oh, he likes 9 Inch Nails Closer. Isn't that like a really sick video? Maybe he's a psycho killer. None of this is really that weird.
But you haven't done anything that could connect that to
behavior.
No,
but once I go do
that we know of
crazy, then you could go back trace and look through my life and find all kinds of stuff that you would reassign to being weird. But right now, it's not weird, is it?
Yeah,
the only thing that it speaks to me is that like he must really love himself.
Oh, he is a narcissist. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, how do you get that? Like I get that from the fact that he goes off by himself to places where there are nobody else but himself or his girl that he's with. And like, who wants to spend that much time with yourself? Like, you know what I mean? Like alone in the woods.
Introverts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but you really got to like yourself a whole bunch to be alone that long.
No, as a matter of fact, just the opposite. I'm an only child. I prefer to be alone. I go off by myself all the time for long periods of time, and I hate myself. So, yeah, you don't.
Why do you hate yourself when you're alone? Because that you've chosen to do that.
Well, I don't see how. I mean, you can hate yourself and still want to be alone.
Because he hates other people too, Emil.
Yeah. No, I don't. No, I actually love other people. That's why I hate myself. I see my shortcomings in them. I'm an introspective dude. I've been through therapy. I've been through all of this stuff. I know what I am. But honestly, to E's point, only children are special cases. Brian's not an only child. Brian has a brother who's a cop, as it turns out. We didn't know that. His mother was a former DA in Sarasota County. So he's got a sister as well. So it's not like he has.
Wow, that even turns like another light on this. Okay, so your brother's a cop.
Yeah.
Your mother's a former DA, and you get home and you give everybody the Heisman.
Yeah, it's like he knew who he was running to. He knew where he needed to get advice from this. And he did.
They would know.
Well, has anybody thought maybe he didn't drive the van home?
I thought about that. I thought that maybe he didn't come home at all, or he just dropped the van off and booked. But yeah, I don't know. It's starting to turn out that neighbors actually saw him there for days. They knew that he was home. So, but go ahead. We'll follow your thought here.
Well, I would just like going. So, what if he didn't drive the van home? What if he was getting some help from his family, and they picked up the van and drove it home, and then they moved his car to the Carlton Preserve? And they've created all these diversions. And at some point in time, police are going to get frustrated and go, oh, we can't find them. And then he just kind of cycles to the bottom of where the two lesbian girls are. We're looking for who killed them.
Here, I want to show this. Clovis has a question. So where is the gun supposed to be? That's a good question, Clovis. I'm looking for it myself. But if you read right here, photos released on Tuesday show that inside of the modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath home Brian Laundrie lived in his parents' North Point, they appear to show Laundrie had a gun in his bedroom as of 2017 and a poster of dark figures with hammers. Okay, so we see the dark pictures with hammers. The 2017 picture that they're quoting is right here. Where does it appear to show a gun? I mean, this is like one of those bar games, where you're supposed to find the gun in this picture. I don't
hunt. Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see a gun anywhere. Unless, is this a gun? Right here? See it? Underneath?
See here.
I mean, can you see where the cursor is, guys? I can't tell if you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. That's something
like that barrel thing. Yeah, possibly.
But it also could be a book, because if you look, it seems like maybe it's got a.
I'm gonna get a refill.
All right.
I mean, that could be like a 22.
Exactly.
Or a
What do they
BB
mean?
gun.
It appears. What do you mean? Could it? I mean, I guess it could. I mean, this could
if
be the
that's a
butt
trigger, kind of where that shiny thing
right
is,
here, right?
there.
Yeah,
And then that's the stock,
the barrel or whatever.
possibly that way.
Yeah. It could be, but it's certainly not enough that I would run with. He apparently had a gun, because that is not apparent. That is only after you put the suggestion out there that it could be a gun that we start looking for things that could be a gun. That's not apparent. Let me see if it says more about that here in the story. It begins with a murder mystery unfolding into a planet-altering conspiracy, the description reads. When a retired hero is killed, his former teammates must investigate the conspiracy. What the fudge am I reading? That must be about the book that he was reading. Laundry 23, an apparent avid reader, was previously seen in a video uploaded to his and Gabby's YouTube page reading what appears to be Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation, a 2014 novel about 4 females who venture into Area X, where 3 die and a 4th disappear permanently. He returned to his family home in Florida without Petito. We all know that stuff, but where is the mention of the gun? All right, so here, maybe it'll be.
I would think a guy like him would have a gun and would have a knife and would have things that you would go out in the wilderness to make sure that you could fend off wild animals.
That makes total logical sense. In fact, I said it before. If I was Gabby's father and I was sending my little girl out across country, I would make sure they had some form of protection. I mean, God forbid anything bad happened to her, right? I mean, photos released on Tuesday shows the modest 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home Brian Laundrie lived in with his parents in Northport, Florida. The manhunt for the person of interest in his fiance's murder continues. The pictures obtained by the New York Post show Laundrie appeared to have a gun in his bedroom as of 2017 and displayed a poster of dark. So where is the gun?
I think it's right there. The poster of Dark Figures is right above it. So I think they're talking to that.
Man, I wish there was a way to make that bigger. I guess it's just lying on its side. But does that look like a functioning gun, or does that look like some sort of
How do you know if it's
Old
a
West
functioning gun?
Well, what I mean is it like a 100-year-old replica of an Old West 6-shooter, or is it something that he could actually load? And what does it have a firing pin, or is it know what I mean?
A shot-off shotgun for all we know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly does seem to have an extended barrel. That's for sure. I don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's the other thing. People have these novelty guns, especially kids whose parents are permissive in that way. Kevin asks, so how do they even know he flew home to help his dad move her stuff into storage shed? Maybe he didn't. What did he do? Well, I think that would be easy to rule out, and has been ruled out because you can just trace plane tickets. I mean, look, you get on a plane in this country and the government knows, especially since September 11th. So if he was supposed to be on that flight and he had tickets, they can double check that. And you're right. Maybe they didn't, but I have not heard that story or that aspect of the story has been, ruled fake or phony or whatever. Okay. So what else? What other pictures do we have here? We got to the garage. There we go. What's this? Oh, look at that. They got a nice one of those Florida covered swimming pools in the back.
Where's that? I don't see it.
Oh, I'm not sharing. That's my bad. Sorry. We'll get back to it. That's not a pool fit for Gabby. That is not. Gabby could get a boyfriend with a much better pool than that. That's just.
That's like a enclosed pool.
Yeah.
With screens over top of it.
Yeah, real common in Florida because of how it always rains and the bugs.
And the mosquitoes.
So it's like an outdoor pool, but not at all an outdoor pool.
It's an outdoor pool.
Isn't this covering it and stuff?
Yeah, but it's outdoors. It's in ground.
It is in ground, but I wouldn't describe that as outdoor, but maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not a pool guy. You have an outdoor pool with.
Well, I have an outdoor pool that doesn't have a screened enclosure. All that is a screened enclosure.
All right, so here's the laundry house, 43 Wabansie Lane, there in North Point, Florida, or is it Northport?
Northport.
It's Northport. I keep calling it.
It's the Northport Police Department, so I would think so.
Yeah. House was $120,000 back in 2015. Like I said, they're working class people. That's looks fine. They got a pool. Good for them. All right, let's see what else.
Oh, the cost of building is cheap.
Is it? Well, I don't know where. I wouldn't think you could get a decent house for 120 grand in Florida. Although I guess you could because there's a lot of trailer parks.
Yeah, but I mean, the wood in Florida costs the same as the wood in Texas. I mean, it's not like the building materials should be any cheaper because they're in Florida.
Okay, what are we arguing about now? That 120,000 is a lot for a house?
No, I think 120,000 is not a lot for a house. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how they got it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was built a long time ago.
Well, I'll tell you,
It wasn't brand new.
The Google map, no, it's not brand new. It's definitely not brand new because the Google Maps that depict the neighborhood, which I've driven around a number of times just to see what the rest of the hood is like. The Google map.
I don't think you could build that house for 120,000 today.
Yeah, but no, but
it cost you a lot more than that.
What would you sell it for? Because they bought the house just recently. Like I said, the Google the Laundries bought the house in 2015, so 6 years ago for 120 grand. I don't know. That was sort of like in the middle of the mortgage disaster, right? Where houses were going cheap. So maybe, I don't know. I just know they ain't a lot for a house. And it looks nice for 120 grand. You know, the little pool in the outdoor, the neighborhood looks fine. But as I was saying about the Google Maps driving around, it's definitely not a new house because the Google Maps that I was watching were recorded. It says in the corner there when the Google Map was taken, 2009. So the house was there in 2009, and it did not look new. As a matter of fact, the Laundries seemed to have painted it. It looked like a complete shithole in 2009. This house here, the yellow with the nice new roof and all that, those are upgrades that the Laundries apparently put in.
I mean, that house looks a lot like when I lived in Florida in 6th grade. So that would have been what, the 70s?
57?
Yeah, no, in the 70s when I lived there. You know, kind of flat, pool in the back, enclosed, palm trees in the front.
Kevin Barber, who I've mentioned, is a friend of mine from high school who lived in Florida when he was working for Disney as an animator. He said you could buy a house there in Florida for that price in the 90s. So
yeah,
it was 2015.
Probably in the 70s too. Maybe a little less.
All right, so let's move on from this. We don't need this anymore. And again, let me do this real quick before we move on. I like to refresh the Gabby and Brian hashtags just to see where we are, if there's anything brand new. Let's check in and see if anything happened with that police standoff, which may probably have been just a drug dealer. See if anything.
So are we going to get in this Murdaugh story?
Yeah, we're going to do that next.
All right, because I'm going to start reading up on that tonight. I need something.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Gabby story has come to
it's stalled.
Sad end, and it is completely stalled. And unless something big happens tomorrow, like
you're advocating that they don't give us the details of the murder. So
no, I'm not. No, what advocating? Can you not tell the difference between someone advocating and someone explaining why they might not? That's all I'm saying.
It makes no sense why they would not.
And it does to me. That's where we differ. It's not okay. I would like to know. I would have loved to have had a full report today so that we could have something here to talk about, and I would then have some answers to my questions that I've had for the last 2 weeks. But I understand why they're slow rolling this at this time. I get it.
What if he just doesn't know?
Somebody has hacked into Brian Laundrie's Spotify account, and apparently he's uploading songs to his Spotify. The ways we can track people. We can't find him, but we know what he's into. Let's see here.
So somebody's hacked in, or Brian Laundrie's in his own Spotify account?
No. Well,
how would you know that?
How would I know? Because I don't
How would
imagine
they know that somebody's hacked into his account? It's just not him.
Because there is a picture here of Nomadic Static Spotify account, and then it shows songs that were uprated. It's showing his account.
That's because they just hit like 1,000 times on Rick Astley's Rick Roll song. Yeah,
yeah,
they're gonna give you up.
I don't know how people could hack it. I'm a paid subscriber to Spotify, so I get all the bells and whistles. There is an aspect to Spotify that is a social network where you can create playlists and share it with friends and people who are also in your. So maybe this dude who has this screenshot of Brian's Spotify with the songs that were just uploaded. It says here, as of 55 seconds ago, this was posted. and it was 19 minutes ago that Superorganism by Sprorganism was uploaded. I don't know what that is.
Is he uploading his own songs?
So you're right. I said hacked in, but actually, now that I think about it, this might just be somebody who is in his social network on Spotify. I should start using that. My Spotify playlists are fantastic. I should reach out to other people who would appreciate my programming abilities.
I'm watching CNN, and it looks like they're just going through the day's events.
Yeah, that's all you can do at this point. There's nothing new. There's nothing.
All right, Murdoch, go.
Well, no, hold on, wait. Let me just...
Flying drones.
Ready, go.
Okay, so as of 2 minutes ago, police helicopters are now circling above the Sarasota location of the apartment standoff. But again, most people are thinking that's just a drug dealer who unfortunately resembles Brian. How'd you end up in jail? I hear you're a drug dealer. Nah, I just look like a murderer. They caught me. I also happen to be a drug dealer.
I think there's a little something more to it than that.
Yeah? What are you seeing? Tell me what you're seeing.
If the police, the birds are in the air and you're a drug dealer, like, that's kind of weird that you would just get, because you're walking with a backpack. Like, I mean, they got to have some reason to pull you over or to stop you.
Who's to say that Brian's not a drug dealer? I don't know. I guess
but I'm saying it sounds to me like it might be a little bit more than your random drug dealer.
Here's the thing: the Brian Enton, who is the WFLA or not News Now reporter based out of Miami, who does all of their Florida coverage. He's the guy that's been out in front of Brian's parents' house. He was the first guy out there that I saw doing live reports. He posted that he was on his way over there, but then his sources told him that it's absolutely not. So don't worry about it. It's just totally different. Just another bit of mayhem going on in Florida, where they have a penchant for the mayhem down there in Florida. They do a lot of crazy stuff. But hey, if we're wrong, great. That's also a possibility that whoever his sources are may have just told him not to come. But this Brian Enton guy, he's been pretty on this. So I don't know if he's not there. More people talking about the Spotify. All right. So apparently, yeah, there's enough people that are commenting and running on the Spotify story to suggest that it is possibly real, that somebody, and it's Gabby's Spotify. It is Gabby Petito's Spotify account, which I am sure she was paying the $11 a month, and Brian had access to it, to play all of his weird music. So that is interesting, though. Brian could possibly be somewhere uploading music. And if he's doing that, then he's probably not in a standoff currently.
Well, and that means he's got a cell phone.
Yeah. Well, he's got a cell phone. They established that. He had a cell phone the whole time.
Well, I heard today that her cell phone had been shut off for 15 days.
Yeah, like 15 days counting back today.
Well, no, counting from the last message
on the 29th.
On the 29th.
So like
it was 13th? Off for 15 days after that.
Yeah.
Consecutive.
Now, what do you mean off? Like service had been discontinued or hadn't been in use?
Hadn't been in use. Hadn't been turned on for 15 days after the last message that it was sent.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that she was a voracious uploader to her social accounts, and on the 27th is the last time she uploaded anything. And if you know a kid of that generation, that should have told us right there that something was amiss, because those kids can't do anything without documenting it and uploading it to Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, if your cell phone is not on and you've paid the bill, something's wrong.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I would just...
Maybe he thought by turning it off, it would be harder to track her.
Well, or him.
Yeah.
Which then leads me to believe he probably didn't have a cell phone when he was driving home in the van.
Yeah, I find that difficult to believe, though. I mean, he must have. How do you make that? I mean, even if he had hers and it was turned off, he would probably have it for emergencies. I mean, what would emergency? Although at that point, he wasn't in any trouble. She was just missing and nobody knew she was missing. Nobody knew. You know what I mean? Like if he broke down on the side of the road, he would need to use a phone to call a tow truck, and he would have no reason to not do that because at that point in time, he knew she was dead. He knew she was missing, but nobody else did because he hadn't returned back to Florida without her yet. So they were still just, so he could have, that's the one thing, honestly, that's the one thing I get past. I don't like to go to the 7-Eleven, which is like 3 blocks away, without my cell phone. I get the hot sweats when I walk out without my phone, and I will take the long walk back to the house just to get the phone. There is no way. I don't know how I lived the first 25, 26 years of my life without a cell phone. They're just so important. And a guy like Brian, I would think he would need one, or would at least have one, probably raised with one, probably didn't know life without a cell phone, 22 years old. 23, I think.
Well, and then if you think back to the body cam footage, he told the cops specifically he didn't have a phone, and she had the only phone.
Yeah, back when he was dude bro and bonding with the cops, he told them a lot of shit that turns out not to be true. So, we can select.
Well, I mean, like that is, if it turns out to be true that he had a cell phone and he had one all that time, then that's the first telltale sign that this guy was just really jobbing us.
Yeah. Well, I think we know that pretty clear now.
Well,
I'm watching CNN too. Is that what you got on, or do you have Fox News? Because CNN is covering it. They got John Walsh on. John Walsh and Nancy Grace have had career resurgences in the last week simply because of this case. They're out there. They got their
he's on.
Got their exploitation Jones back on.
I'll flip it to 360 here and let's see.
All right, so should we move on to the next big true crime story that I think is going to sweep America? Although I have to tell you, there's not much of a mystery in this one. The thing about Gabby and Brian is that she was missing first, and now he's missing. I mean, there have been building details. The Alex Murdaugh and Murdaugh family story from South Carolina seems to be done, and now we're just left looking at everything that happened and going, oh my God, these people are crazy. These people are dirtbags. You know what I mean? Like there's no, like Alex Murdaugh is in rehab right now.
The story's over. Gabby's story's not. Oh, it's still happening.
All right. So, right.
Anybody interested in who killed the lesbians?
As a matter of fact, Kyler, I'm sorry about that.
Kyler Murray.
No, Kylan Schulte's father is. And by the way, I was going to get into this a little bit, but you pushed me to get into the Murdaugh thing. I was going to do this Kylan and Crystal story second. So we may as well do it now. So there have been some interesting developments out of that. And I have to mea culpa to all of you who are watching. When this first happened, I kept saying, well, the FBI has said there is no relation to the cases. The FBI has said, and that meant something to me because I believe the FBI. Turns out the FBI isn't involved in this case at all. It's not in the FBI's jurisdiction because it's a local crime. It's just a local murder. The county police are in charge of it. And it was the county sheriff who came out in a press release saying that they see no ties between the two cases. Now, I might be willing to now drift back into this and go, okay, maybe we need to start paying attention to this and see how this plays and correlates to what's going on with Brian and Gabby. Because a county sheriff in Moab County or wherever, whatever county that's in, that ain't like the FBI coming out and putting an official thing there. And then, I mean, I understand now after thinking about it. Yeah, of course, that's not an FBI case. It's not in their jurisdiction. There is no crossing state lines. There is no federal issue. I mean, the campground they were at was a state campground. So maybe the FBI could have become involved in that murder case if it was in a national park or something. They could then find their jurisdictional allowances for this. But they didn't. The FBI has never at any point been involved in the Crystal Turner murder other than for in the early days of the Brian and Gabby situation. They were working Brian and Gabby and they looked at that. But the FBI hasn't said that's in no way related. That comes from Cletus, the local county sheriff there in rural wherever. So, I mean, now I might be back on with you guys. And one of the people who are screaming that, and the only reason that I know this, and the only reason it dawned on me today, is because Kylan Schulte's father is all over Facebook posting about how he doesn't believe that it's unrelated, and why does nobody care about this? I actually almost posted on his Facebook page and put your address. You need to talk to you because he cares. He's totally into it.
I do care.
I know you
think
do.
it's important.
Yeah. So here are the details that we have now.
Invite him to come on the show.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. So the Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner murder case.
Maybe you should interview him. He's probably got nobody wanting to interview him.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen him being interviewed anywhere. So
that's what I'm saying.
What's up,
why
James?
not Twitter?
Why are you pointing?
I'm just pointing at you like you need to interview him.
Were you doing the Brady Bunch thing?
I am doing the Brady Bunch. Hey, no, other way.
It is the Brady Bunch thing.
Is it over there?
Yeah. Oh,
hi, James.
Oh, it's Pugs. Hey, there he is. Oh, look at you. Oh,
is that E up there? Hi, E.
There's Pugs. And that's E over there. And then there's Pugs.
Oh, no, I got it. Wait, there we go.
There's E. Good job.
Hi, E. How are you? Wave to me.
Oh, wait, look at that.
Oh, James, you nutball. I see you down there. That's fun. Oh my God, that's fun. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta remember that. I didn't know that's what you were doing, but now it makes sense.
Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner are a married couple, lesbian married couple. And I say it like that because they're a lesbian married couple in a part of the country where I wouldn't think that would be a common thing.
Why do you have to feel apologetic about saying it's just a couple of lesbians?
It's not apologetic. It's why I'm putting that spin on. Because if they were really just the fact their sexual orientation doesn't mean anything other than the fact I find it curious because they're in Utah. They're in rural Utah. So I find that James,
the land of sister wives.
You better let me finish.
No, hey, you listen.
You too, E.
It's okay. It's okay to say lesbian up there.
All right, James. All right, just settle down. You too. All right. So they were last seen on the 13th at Woody's Tavern in Moab. That was a Friday night, and they were last seen at 9:30 p.m. exiting the bar after having a few drinks after dinner Friday, drinks with friends. Now
telling them that there was a creepy guy at their campground,
and that is where that information.
And if that description doesn't fit this guy right now, I don't know what does.
Here's what's crazy about that. So imagine that you are in the bar and you're talking with your friends and you say, oh, by the way, if anything happens to us, there's a creepy guy around the campground. All right, we're going home. See you, everybody. And then they never see him again. I mean, it's like, who says that? Like, I have said stuff like that. Hey, if you never see me again, it's because my mom killed me for coming home so late. And then what if you never saw me again after I said that? I mean, it's odd that it happened the same night.
Well, it is odd. And it's also odd that he was in the vicinity of one of them on the 12th. And they said that on the 13th.
Right.
And they don't show up to the Moonflower Cafe on the 14th. He flies home on the 17th and they're found dead on the 18th.
Yeah, the timeline on that is that they were last seen on Friday, leaving Woody's Tavern after drinking with friends and saying, there's a creepy guy. If I disappear, he's who did it. That was on the 13th. They were last seen at 9:30. On the 14th, Kylan did not report for work at the Moonflower Cafe. So the people who run the Moonflower Cafe were just like, not a big deal. Then one more day passes. She doesn't show up again on the 15th. They're like, now this is weird. It was the next day on the 16th where the people at the Moonflower Cafe, her employers, finally went to the local police and said, we think we got a missing person because one of their friends came in and told the Moonflower Cafe about the creepy guy. And they were like, oh, well, maybe we ought to make this official instead of just thinking they went off, took a bunch of drugs and are now tripping in the woods, for a couple of days. So then it became a missing person on the 16th and there was a search and the friend. All of this, man, is just so the friend who was told there was a creepy guy is who discovered the bodies about 100 yards from their campsite in a creek. So, I mean, it's all that now.
Riddled with bullet holes, right?
Riddled with bullet holes and signs, obvious signs of sexual assault. On both of them, yeah. So,
so you go from there.
No, wait.
He's home.
Wait. No, wait. I'm still not done. So, what we also learned is that it is believed that Brian and Gabby were in the Moab area until the 16th. So the incident with police happened on the 12th. They were separated for 24 hours and then they got back together. Now, the friend who gave this story that I'm reading about, the Woody's bar timeline for Crystal and Kylan, the friend who found the body, the friend who was reporting the story, the friend who said there was a creepy guy, that friend is suggesting that on the night of the 13th, hours after Gabby and Brian were legally allowed to get back together, they may have been at Woody's Tavern. The friend believes they were. And people who work at the bar, no one's going on the record, but apparently people at Woody's Tavern are starting to go, yeah, I think they were here. And I could imagine that somebody, I mean, Gabby Petit, I worked in bars for a lot of years, right? And if I worked, I don't think Woody's is like the bars I worked in. I worked in like bars that on Friday night would have 200-300 people in them. They were big sports bars, popular bars. Woody's Tavern, and I've seen it. It looks like a drinking place for locals. I assume that someone would notice two out-of-towners, and especially one as beautiful as Gabby. I think somebody would remember that. You know, oh my God, that was that pretty girl that we never saw before.
I mean, how much is in that town? When the guy called to report the, he goes, "Oh, so are you there standing at the corner across from the post office?"
Mm-hmm.
And
so all of these news stories, the fact that it's actually the Teton County, or not Teton County, excuse me, the Moab law enforcement who is saying that there's no connection. And now the friend coming out today and talking to the New York Post and saying, hey, I was at Woody's. I'm the one who found the body. I'm the one she told that there were creepy people there watching him at the campsite. And I'm also the one who believes that Brian and Gabby were at the bar. So now, because of all of that came out today, I'm back in. If it were the FBI or some sort of legitimate law enforcement organization, I might still be a little, well, they know more than I do. They've got stuff.
They don't know crap. They haven't arrested anybody.
But that doesn't mean they don't know crap. You don't just arrest somebody. You put a case together and you don't make the case public, is my point. I mean, that's how it works. They wouldn't release any kind of details would allow a suspect to go.
I'm in a little town like that, and they've riddled 2 bodies with bullets, and I am thinking that somebody's done it. I can be sure that I'm going to drag them down to the police department and put them under some type of questioning, or I'm surveilling them right now.
Well, and that is the complaint that Kylan Schulte's father is saying. It has been 5 weeks. You recently came out and said there's no connection. If there's no connection, why do you believe that? And why has there been no movement in any direction to try and solve the murder of my daughter and her 38-year-old wife, Crystal? So that's what the dad's going through right here. But again, nobody gives a shit about them, because they were not clean cut suburban. Yeah, okay. I got you. That's fine. What are you going to do? Joy Reid got in trouble today for basically throwing out there that America's obsessed with what did she term it? E, do you remember? Missing
white woman syndrome.
Yeah, that's what it is. Jeez.
Yeah, but that pattern was broken. We had the girl that was missing here in New Orleans. Her name's Teralyn Monette. She's black. She's absolutely gorgeous, but they basically stopped heaven and earth to find her for about 3 weeks.
Never heard about that story. It was a local story, James.
All right. Well,
we did not do any episodes of.
So, are you following the dad on Twitter?
No. But I saw they, in the articles they're posting his pages and the stuff that he's writing. Okay, so that's that. So there are maybe some things happening there that's interesting. You want to get into the South Carolina case now? This, by the way, nobody intended for this damn pillow talk show to turn into just true crime stories, but it seems to be the flavor of the month, and we're all sort of interested. So why not, right?
Yeah.
All right. So who knows? Tell me what you know. We'll set it up this way. James, you were the first person that brought it up. You brought it up on the air about a week ago. Just spitball it. Tell me what you know.
I almost don't want to tell you because it would ruin the story, because what you read is the headline, and then what you find out is something really janky happened a few months ago.
Okay.
And what you find out when you read up on that is something really janky happened about 3 years ago. And then when you read up on that, it all really started with the weird stuff in like 2015 or 2016 or whatever it was.
You fall into a Murdoch family degenerate hole where you're just constantly clicking on link stories that go, they did this too? It's really crazy. So the Murdoch family, E, did you have anything you wanted to say before we jump in?
The only thing I did was today I got bored because I was mad at the Gabby thing being in, nothing really came out. And then I started thinking about, okay, what are we going to talk about? And then I remember James mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and you kind of glossed over it. So then I glossed over it too. I kind of clicked on it, and I saw that there was a pretty 19-year-old girl that got ran over by a boat in a boating accident
in February,
and she was dead. Yeah. And so then I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And then I read a little bit more, and there were like 5 or 6 deaths related to this family. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a whole bunch of people dying.
Yeah, 5. There's 5 by my count as far as the timeline goes. But they weren't all connected until recently, where people started going, hey, what about that thing in 2015? And they went, oh, yeah, like that's too.
Exactly. So every time we've all heard this story, it hasn't been in chronological order. It's been backwards.
Right. Yeah. Well, we just recently learned about the story 2 weeks ago when the final chapter was made public.
Okay, so can you tell it in chronological order? Because you'll be the first one to do it. I should. Could you tell it in chronological order? Because you'll be the first one to do it.
James, I'm gonna try, but
Other way.
I think it's better and more.
Yeah, that's that way.
There he is. Okay, I'm gonna try, but I think it's just look. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm just because it doesn't really make. Just let me do my thing. I appreciate the coaching.
This is like we're looking in the mirror when we're trying to do the Brady Bunch thing. So whatever hand you think it is, it's the opposite hand.
I know, right? Like
I got to turn that way, and it seems like I should turn this way.
Yeah, but just do the opposite.
Yeah, do the opposite of what you're thinking, and it works.
James, is that you down there?
Yeah, I'm wait. Okay. Yes. Okay, no, so other way. No, other way.
The other way.
You can't see.
Yeah, you're wrong.
There you are.
Yeah, there you are.
There you are. Now I see you. Okay, so James is there and E is there. That's it. This is easy for me. It's both like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happened. The Murtaugh family is a very, very well-known and respected family, powerful family of attorneys, politicians, big money in there. Going all the way back to, I believe, the great-great-grandfather or the great-grandfather was like the Solicitor General of the state from 1920 to 1940. And then his son became Solicitor General from 1940 to like 1986. And then the grandson became Solicitor General from 1986 to 2015. So it's a very powerful, very well-connected family down there.
You weren't allowed to solicit.
Wow, that's just a fancy name for the attorney who represents the state.
Solicitation general.
It's like attorney general. It's basically like a different way of calling Solicitor General. Solicitor is who solicits the courts for lawsuits. And stuff
I see signs that say no soliciting.
Yeah. Well,
same thing.
Sure. Why not? Let's go with that. All right. So now we're talking about the Alex Murdaugh wing of the Murdaugh family of South Carolina. He was a partner in the family's very high-end law firm, represented some of the most important people in the state, a big-time attorney, right? Big-time law firm, big-time Southern, the magnolia trees and the beach houses and the how do declare, that whole thing. Very Southern Gothic kind of vibes coming off this story just from the beginning. Alex Murdaugh was married to Maggie. He had 2 sons, Paul and Buster.
What? His real name's Buster? His nickname is Buster?
No, it's Richard, but everyone calls him Buster. And here's what happened.
Buster Murdaugh.
So here's what happened. The reason we're talking about this is because back in June, and by the way, this story really did start in June. They just didn't know there was going to be more developments in it, so they covered it like a terrible murder of a fancy 1%er family. Back in June at the family stables, Alex Murdaugh discovered the dead bodies of his wife Maggie, 52 years old, and his son Paul, who was 22 years old. They had been shot. There's a 911 call where he seems very distraught. Oh, I can't believe, that whole thing. Very sad. And so that's where it started. The story was just, what happened to this powerful family? What happened to this woman and her son? These are rich, wealthy people. It happened on their own property. So it was one of those things. If it could happen to them, it could happen to you. We'll have more after this commercial break. One of those kind of stories, just very gratuitous, very nighttime soap opera, so it wasn't really anything serious. So in the time since then, since that case has been going on, Alex Murdaugh has sort of been spinning out of control. He's lost his wife and his son in this double murder that happened on his property in the very beginning.
Seems like anybody would spin out of control if that happened, or possibly.
Very, very early in the situation, he was named by the police as a person of interest, but then almost immediately that was dropped and they just stopped looking in his direction. And most people, if you look at the stories that were written in the local papers and all that around that time, a lot of people were saying, well, yeah, he's one of the most politically connected people in this. They're not going to publicly name him a person of interest, and that's why they retracted it. They're just going to allow him to get away with murder. So there was already that vibe going around about Alex. A couple of days after his mother and his son were murdered at their family stables, then his father died.
His mother or his wife?
Or his wife. I'm sorry. Yes, his children's mother. It's listed as mother and son murdered. But yes, it was his wife. It was Alex Murdaugh's wife was murdered with their son in the stables of their hunting lodge. Family's got a hunting lodge back in June. And he was, Alex, the father, was initially the guy who discovered the bodies and made the 911 call, was initially called a person of interest. And then that immediately went away. And everybody walked away from that, and the story kind of died out. However, in the private life of Alex Murdaugh, he lost his wife and he lost his son in that murder, was deemed a homicide, but they haven't brought any suspects in. The only person that was named a person of interest was the dad himself, and then that went away. So that story is kind of stalled. But oh well, no worries. They're rich people. They'll figure it out. The day after that happened, or I'm sorry, within days of that happening, he lost his father. His father died. Long battle with cancer, wasn't anything suspicious. He was just in a hospital.
Natural disease causes.
Yeah, he was like 80-something years old, and he'd been sick for years. And
probably put dry cleaning plastic over his face and held it down.
So then we get to a situation where a couple of weeks later, remember now, Alex Murdaugh, big family, powerful family, runs a big law firm with his two other brothers. In mid-July, it came out that he was being accused by the law firm that he ran of embezzling millions of dollars over the past 10 years, that he had insane debts that nobody knew about. He may have had some people looking for him to pay the money back, if you know what I mean. So now you start thinking about, well, the wife and the son are dead. They were murdered execution style in the stables. And now we find out that this dude has been embezzling millions of dollars over 10 years and that he's involved with some pretty shady people and some deals that maybe didn't pan out the way everybody was promised they would. So now we're starting to think, okay, maybe we need to go back and look at the murder of the wife and with this new information. Then a couple of weeks after that, Alex Murdaugh was fired from his family firm for the embezzling, fired by his own brothers. They say, get the hell out of here. We don't need you anymore. Then 2 weeks ago, and this is when James jumped in and said, are you following the South Carolina story? It's crazy. Then 2 weeks ago, Alex Murdaugh was driving to Charlotte, taking a road that no one would ever take to drive from where he was to Charlotte. Like, instead of being a 20-minute trip going on the highway, he took the 1-hour scenic route through backcountry roads and all that stuff. Got a blowout on the trip, got out of the car to change his tire, and somebody drove by and tried to shoot him in the head. Now, he called 911, claims there was a bullet in his head, claims that he was, the victim of some random violence or whatever on this country road. Yet the police in the police report checked no visible signs of injury. So he was then, a care flight was ordered. And that has everybody wondering, there was no visible sign. Why the hell did a helicopter have to land and take him there, take him to the hospital? And of course, he was fine. No big deal. Walked out of the hospital the next day. They kept him for observations. So who's trying?
Isn't this the guy that I saw has facial rosacea?
Yeah.
He looks like he's a drinker.
He looks like he's a drinker, and he looks like a guy that would say some incredibly offensive shit while wearing khaki slacks and a polo at a backyard barbecue.
Cargo shorts, maybe. Yeah.
No. Rich guy stuff. Like
khaki slacks,
khaki shorts, maybe boat shoes, holding his drink, say something like, well, about the black people, I'll tell one of those kinds of guys.
I'm not racist, but
right,
yeah.
Yes.
From his stable.
He really looks like one of those kinds of guys. So, okay. So now there's been an attempted murder on him, right? A random murder, but really there was no damage done, and nobody.
The headlines almost unanimously said there was a graze wound.
Yes. Yeah. And that is what they're kind of going with. However, the police report, the cop who showed up on the scene who filed the report said no visible wounds.
Why would you even call that in if you're him?
I don't. Well, again, we're talking about somebody who's very well connected, who, when the name probably went out over the radio, they scrambled the life care helicopter, to get him out of rural wherever. All right. So then that happens. Now, remember, he's lost his mother. He's lost his wife. He's lost his son. He has lost his business. His brothers kicked him out. He is under investigation for embezzling millions of dollars from the family law firm. And now somebody is trying to kill him.
And he lost his dad.
Yeah. So it's been a rough 90 days for old Alex Murtaugh. Who
we have empathy.
Sure we do. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper. This is where the story gets weird. Yeah. His son, Paul, who was murdered in the stables, was involved in the manslaughter death, and was sitting awaiting charges for the manslaughter death of a 19-year-old girl. They were out on a boat, on their boat at their marina, and they were partying and drinking, and there was a boat accident, and a 19-year-old girl was killed. This is back in February. Now, what they're saying is there was like months before there was any kind of investigation into that. It was almost as if the local authorities, because of the Murdaugh name, were going to just try and let that happen and rule it an accident. But eventually, some state prosecutor or someone of those stripes got involved, who was not in league with the Murdaughs. And he said, no, we are filing drunken boating charges. This is a manslaughter case. And this little rich kid is going to have to, affluenza defense aside, this little rich kid is going to have to stand trial. So there was big problems there. The whole family was very stressed out over that. Before the kid could go to trial, however, he was murdered with his mother in the stables at the family's hunting lodge. So that was what was happening in the past with Paul. That's Paul Murdaugh, the son of Alex Murdaugh. Come to find out, weeks after the attempted murder, that it wasn't an attempted murder at all. That Alex Murdaugh had hired somebody to help him in an assisted suicide. That's what he's claiming now. He's claiming that his life was in such shambles that he wanted to end it all. Remember now, he's lost millions. He's out of.
This is when he was driving on the back road the long way.
Why he took the long way? Yes.
Okay.
So he approached some dirtbag 3-time loser who his law firm had represented in a couple of cases 15 years ago, like dirtbag cases, assault cases, and stuff like that. So Alex Murdaugh apparently went to this dude, and they concocted a scheme where he would take these roads, these hidden roads, so there was no fear of the dude getting in trouble for this, and that he would step out of his car to change a tire, and this guy would drive by and he would murder him. And he would then, I guess he was paid money, although we don't know how much money this dirtbag was paid, but he was paid money. And the plan was.
So an assisted suicide.
Yes, an assisted suicide, not a random murder like it first appeared to be. And a bad assisted suicide because the dude missed. The dude,
he grazed him.
Right. Why do you still call it in if you miss? It's so stupid.
Wouldn't you call the guy back and go, hey, dummy, you missed. Come back.
Yeah, come back.
Right. So we know now that it was a scheme concocted by this desperate and freaking out Alex Murdaugh, who's had all of these tragedies in his personal life. But why? Why if he wanted to kill himself to get away from it all, why would he do that? Well, because he had a suicide exemption in his life insurance plan. And his plan was for him to be dead and for his remaining son, Buster, to inherit the $10 million that the insurance company would have paid off. However, he didn't realize that in the state of South Carolina, which is weird because he's a lawyer and you think he would have crossed the T's and, connected the dots here. In the state of North Carolina or South Carolina, you can only have a suicide exemption clause in a life insurance policy for 2 years. After having the policy for 2 years, it elapses. And he'd had this policy for over a decade. So the kid, even if it was successful.
See, I would think it would be the reverse.
What's that?
I would think that they would say, okay, you can't, if you commit suicide within this 2-year period, we know why you went out and got insurance because you had in your mind that you were going to maybe kill yourself.
Yeah.
So if you die of suicide in the first 2 years, no matter what, you don't get paid.
Seems like you're setting it up, right? Seems
right.
like you're,
but after you get past 2 years,
Mhm.
if you then decide you're going to kill yourself, we don't think you've been plotting it for 2 years.
Right.
So it seems to me to be just totally ass backwards what you just said.
That would make sense for a normal person, but I imagine that the insurance company has this metric in mind. Oh, you want to do that? Okay, your premium's going to be $10,000 a month, or something like that. I bet you he was paying an incredibly high premium just to have.
Yeah, but whatever you're going to pay them, you can't get the 10. You're not going to charge you $10 million.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting off track. Okay, so the story is now. James, are you off mic?
No, I'm here. I was just mumbling to myself. It didn't need to be on mic anyway.
So now we have learned that the murder attempt was not a murder attempt at all. It was something that he was in on, and he was trying to have a suicide, but couldn't do it himself. So he involved this dirtbag criminal. He wanted the $10 million to go to his remaining son, Buster, who is 25, I think, something like that. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so now we learn. At that point, the police start to get nervous, and the police are like, okay, maybe we need to bring in this Alex Murdaugh guy because there's way too many strange things going on. Nobody's looking into the murder of his wife and his kid. We've just kind of let that go away. We see that we now know that he's in desperate financial.
Were they insured?
What's that?
The wife and kid insured?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about that too. Was there life insurance on them? Because if he wasn't, and that I think is probably one of the reasons that they want to go back and look at that and open that up, or at least not open it back up, because I'm sure it's still open. It only happened within 90 days, but I'm sure they're going to now really dig into that one. Okay, so the walls are closing in. The assisted suicide plot, scheme, scam, whatever you want to call it, that didn't work out for him. He knows that the heat is now on him, that shit's looking really bad. So what does he do? He admits that he's had a 15-year addiction to opioids, and bye, everybody, I'm going into a fancy rehab where you can't bother me for like 90 days. So that's where he is now, right? He's in the fancy rehab, and he's trying to get clean. And he claims that the reason that he embezzled millions of dollars was for opioids.
Okay. Makes some sense.
James, you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I love It's Always Sunny. I may be a couple seasons behind, but I'm
okay. Are you familiar with the episode D and what's the brother's name?
Crack.
Yeah, Smoke Crack. And they go to buy crack in the crack neighborhood, and the guy walks up to the window, and they give him $200 for one crack rock, and they think that's a great deal.
Right.
where a crack rock is like $5, but these dumb white suburbanites, well, I guess they're not suburbanites, but these dumb white people who are trying to get into crack, they end up paying $200 a rock, and then they get addicted, so they keep going back and paying $200 a rock. This, I mean, if you're to believe that he spent millions of dollars over the last couple of years on an opioid addiction, then yeah, he was paying a premium price for whatever drugs that he was getting. So he's got an opioid. Let's listen to this. I pulled up a little something. This is the attorney.
So how are the walls, just before you do that, how are the walls closing in on him? Because he's embezzled money from his family, so his family's pressing charges?
Yes, there are charges that were about to fall for that. And then after, like a week after the failed attempted suicide, the dude that he paid went, hey, he paid me to do that. Because he got busted. Police,
how is that illegal?
How is what illegal?
Murder for hire of yourself?
Fraud. Yeah, it is. That's very illegal. But the actual charge,
it's not insurance fraud if the insurance couldn't pay.
It was whatever. They're bringing
insurance fraud.
It's still insurance, right? Just because he wasn't able to do it doesn't mean he wasn't trying.
How is it insurance fraud? If there's a no suicide clause, the insurance company gets off. I don't want to get into
the woods on this. Take this up with the South Carolina legal.
Well, I'm just trying to say it's not. No one's getting hurt if they're not paying them.
Okay. To the judge, Emil.
So yeah, exactly. I don't know what to tell you on that.
Okay.
I think that you can still, you can still be charged with things because your plot didn't succeed. That happens all the time. So I
Well,
don't
did he
really know
say, "Oh my God, I didn't get myself killed because I was trying to collect 10 million in insurance"?
Well, okay. Oh, you know what? I do actually have an answer for that for you because I forgot. This was one of the things that we might be hearing here. It's because he finally admitted it. He came clean. When he went into rehab, he admitted all of these things, and he admitted that he had paid the guy because the guy that he paid to fire the bullet that was supposed to kill him got busted by police because they actually did investigate that attempted murder.
And that one of the 12 steps, you have to like atone for all your screw ups or whatever.
I guess, right?
Idiot.
Yeah. All right, so here you go. Let's watch this. This is the attorney for Alex Murdaugh. This guy's a real piece of work. Wait do you hear this guy try to explain all the bad behavior of his well-connected, degenerate client? All right, so here, just listen to this. This is the attorney of Alex Murdaugh on I don't know if this is today or what, but here we go. Okay, can you see it?
This guy looks angry.
Yeah, just listen to him. He's such a bullshit lawyer. He is just. All right, here we go.
Exclusively is Alec Murdaugh's attorney, Dick Harpootlian. Dick, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Dick, you've prosecuted serial killers, university presidents. You've represented some characters over the year. You have to admit, this is a pretty unbelievable story. Your client claiming that he paid someone to shoot him to collect $10 million in insurance money, and the guy missed. Is that the story?
Well, let me elaborate. On Monday, Jim Griffin and I, Alex attorneys, traveled to an out-of-state detox facility where we actually had the first conversation we've ever had with him when he wasn't on opioids or oxy. And as a result of that, he clearly knew what he had done was wrong and explained to us a couple of things. One, the murder of his son and wife 90 days ago took a tremendous toll on him. His father died of cancer that same week. Most people couldn't get through that. He got through it with the use of opioids. And then last week, a week ago.
Okay, that's bullshit lawyer talk where he just throws that most people couldn't get through that and then moves on. Every single one of us will get through and have gotten through the death of a parent. That's
he was saying he couldn't get through all of that. The death of his wife, the death of his son, and the parent.
I take exception with that. People get through incredibly terrible things all the time.
Ago, actually, it was uncovered that he had he had converted some client and law firm money to his own use and again, spent most of that on opioids.
Converted.
And on that Saturday morning,
didn't steal.
He was trying to get off the opioids. He was not taking any of them, was in a massive depression, realized that things were going to get very, very, very bad, and he decided to end his life. He believed that $10 million policy had a suicide exclusion. Suicide exclusions are only good for 2 years, and he didn't realize that. So he arranged to have this guy shoot him. Now, what's amazing about this guy is somebody that was providing, and by the way, Alex is totally cooperated with SWED. We called SWED. They didn't call us, and gave them the whole statement, indicated he called this guy who met him on the side of the road, agreed to shoot him in the head, and this fake car breakdown. 30 minutes later, this guy's shooting him in the head. Didn't try to persuade him not to do it. Didn't hesitate at all.
It's his fault. It's the drifter's fault for not saying. Did you catch that? I mean, is that total just deflection of responsibility? My client who dreamed up this scenario and went and called back this dirtbag from 15 years ago when he found him on file in his law service as, who can I hire for this? Found this guy, approaches him, and this lawyer's on TV going, this dirtbag didn't even try to talk him out of it.
Rewind it back just a little bit. He was saying something here.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Back. Here we go. That's just, this guy is such a scuzzbag lawyer. Here we go. All righty. About 20 seconds.
We called SWED. They didn't call us, and gave them the whole statement, indicated he called this guy who met him on the side of the road, agreed to shoot him in the head, and this fake car breakdown. 30 minutes later, this guy's shooting him in the head. Didn't try to persuade him not to do it. Didn't hesitate at all. And There was an entrance and exit wound. It was, and Alec indicated he collapsed. He was blind for a while before he was taken to the hospital.
So he did have an exit and entrance.
You gotta stop believing fucking lawyers, dude. He is the only person who has said that. The police report clearly says that there was no visible injury. This guy is throwing out like it was something horrible.
So it was an attempt on his part to do something to protect his child. He didn't want law enforcement spending more time on this fake crime instead of focusing on solving the murders of Maggie and Paul.
Okay, so let's talk about Maggie and Paul here, Dick, because your client
That's
lied
the
about
mother
the
and son.
circumstances under which he was shot. It wouldn't be a stretch for folks to think that he probably also lied about the circumstances under which his wife and son were shot.
Well, I've spent the last year and a half with Maggie and Paul and Alec. I represented Paul on the boat case, met with them dozens of times. They were very affectionate. Maggie and Paul and Alec all together, Maggie and Alec holding hands. He is totally distraught. We've talked to him at length about it this week. Clearly, he is distraught about their deaths.
But
he did not murder them.
So, Dick, he didn't murder them. Does he perhaps know who did and why?
I don't think he does. But Jim Griffin and I are working on and investigating an individual or individuals we believe may have some culpability or had done it. And we're in the process of doing that. We're not SWED. We're not law enforcement. We don't have their tools. But we think we'll know this week whether the one suspect we're looking at bears further scrutiny, and we'll make that information available to law enforcement.
And what would the motive have been?
I'm sorry?
What would the motive be?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
What would the motive be?
He didn't want to go there.
Well, that would reveal who that person is, but it's personal. The motive would be personal.
These reports that your client stole millions of dollars from the law firm, did he use all of that money to buy drugs, or did he use some of the millions for other things?
The vast majority of it, as I understand it, was used to buy drugs.
That's a lot of oxy.
well, okay, so let me, it is. But in his interview that we made him available for on Monday with SWED on the phone from the detox center, he explained he wrote checks for most of this. This is not, and gave them the bank accounts, totally cooperated, and told them how to find out how much he spent, where it went, where the bank accounts were, what went in, what came out, and what was spent, checks written to drug dealers.
Do you fully expect that your client is going to be arrested in the near future?
Yes, I think he will be charged. I think that what he doesn't want, and we don't want, is an effort to deal with these issues, distracting from and using law enforcement resources that could be used to solve the murders of Maggie and Paul.
And again, to be clear, there's no connection between the shooting on the side of the road that he faked and the killing of his wife and son.
None whatsoever, except he was in a dark, dark, dark place and wanted to help his son in any way he could, the remaining son, Buster, in any way he could, and he thought this was the only way he could leave him with anything.
All
right. So here you go. That's going to be that's the attorney spinning the story. Yeah, thoughts.
I believe nothing of what that dude said.
Of course not. Millions of dollars on Oxy. That's a lot of Oxy.
Yeah, he'd be dead. He'd be dead if he spent that much on Oxy.
I mean, if he's doing, say, 50 pills a day.
Right? Maybe.
Okay, but I'm saying there are people that have had that many, and he's paying like $30 a pill. That's a $1,500 a day to $2,000 a day habit.
No, what are you talking about? How expensive do you think a single pill? You can get a pill for $5. Pills cost about $5 each.
Not Oxys.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I know somebody.
I think they're more in the $30 range.
No, well,
not at the pharmacy. He's not going to the pharmacy and getting that. He's having to get them on the market.
So you're telling me that all the dirtbags addicted to Oxy in Oklahoma have $1,500 a day habits? That's not true.
No, they may not be doing that many, but if you get, I've heard of people that can get as high as 30, 40 pills a day, 50 pills a day. Okay. And so if you are fortunate enough to have access or unfortunate enough to have that much access to funds and your habits up there, I mean, you can be blowing $2,000-3,000 a day.
The thing that I thought about that when he says, well, it can all be traced. He gave the bank records. Those are all checks to drug dealers. Maybe he was funding an operation. Maybe he was funding, a large scale oxy sort of, thing. Because, I mean, how else would you explain? He's been accused of over $2 million, of embezzling over $2 million. And the lawyers on TV going, that was all for drugs. Well, okay, then this ain't personal use.
Well, if you are pounding that many oxys and you then get off them, I mean, you're going to go through some major depression, withdrawal. I mean, like, he needs to be in a rehab center. He has to be in a rehab center.
And that's where he is. That was from about a week ago when they said, do you expect your client to be charged? He was. Yeah. Later that day, as a matter of fact, the afternoon, that was from the Today Show. So that afternoon is when they officially gave charges against him. He appeared in court.
What were the charges?
Insurance fraud and some other like hooliganism type stuff. But the primary charge is insurance fraud. I saw the video, I watched the YouTube video of him pleading in court in the orange jumpsuit with his hands, together and all that. And that lawyer standing there defending him. They asked for him to receive bond. The state said, no. We're not going to give him bond. This guy's got all kinds of money. He's got access to Learjets, private jets, and there's no way we're going to let him have bond. So the compromise was that he would be sentenced back to rehab, where he will spend an additional 90 days in this rehab facility. And again, look, we just saw with Brian Laundrie, he's a person of interest, and then he slips through the net. It seems like they're allowing this guy an opportunity he's not in some county-funded rehab. He's in a rich people rehab where it's probably not that difficult. There's no barbed wire fences keeping these people in there. I mean, it seems like they're allowing him every opportunity to utilize his vast wealth and connections to skip out on this. But to the point, he's still there as of today. He's still in the rehab facilities. Big bond.
So do they think that the wife and son were possibly killed as retaliation for the girl that got killed in the boat?
I don't believe that. I believe most of the speculation, and this comes from crazy comment sections and people who have been, true crime clue players on this one, the way we have with Gabby and Brian. A lot of them are saying that this is obviously he was involved in drugs with some very bad people and he owed them money, which is why he was, embezzling money from the law firm for all these years, trying to pay off on whatever he owes, and that the death. That's why the lawyer, when he was asked, do you know who it is? And he was like, oh, maybe we've got an idea, and it's probably
it's personal. Well, The only thing I could think that somebody would have a personal vendetta against him is the guy, because the son killed a 19-year-old being drunk.
Yeah, but he probably just killed some 19-year-old random hot girl who was hanging out with rich people, and the parents of, just regular citizens can't really go to war like that with rich people. They wouldn't. Interesting, but I don't think that's it. I think that the death of the girl is just typical rich kid assholery. That's all that was. Rich kid
so we've heard of 3 deaths then. There's been the
mom,
wife.
Yeah, wife, mom, son, girl on the boat.
Well, not wife, mom. It's wife and mom is one. Wife, mom,
son, girl on the boat.
Son, dad.
Dad had cancer.
That's not a murder,
but that's not related.
No,
Okay, and you said there were 5. So where are the other ones?
Okay, good. I'm so glad that you asked. In 2018, a 25-year employee of the Murdoch house, the housekeeper who raised the kids, who was like a nanny, she had a fatal fall in their mansion down the steps, suffering a severe head wound. And of course, the only person there at the time was Alex Murdoch. He was the one that was there. He said he saw it happen and that she supposedly tripped over the dog. She suffered bad head wounds falling down the steps, and she was unable to talk or give her side of the story, and she died a couple of days later. It was initially ruled an accidental death, and then only recently, after all of this other stuff, they went back and they looked at it, and now they have recategorized that as a suspicious death. So they think that maybe this Alex Murdaugh died. They've established now for a number of years he's been addicted to drugs. Maybe she threw out his drugs. Maybe she did, cleaning the house, found his drugs or whatever. So they're thinking he may have lost his shit and may be responsible for that. So that's the fourth person in this whole scenario who has died under mysterious circumstances. The fifth one goes all the way back to 2015. And now, just because we don't want to leave anybody out, we're going to focus on Buster, the sole remaining son. Buster went to high school with this guy, a kid same age, who was gay and openly gay. And apparently Buster was, are you going to believe this? A bully. Apparently powerful, connected Buster Murdaugh was a bully to this kid. And they had numerous run-ins. The kid almost had to change schools because they wouldn't discipline Buster because he was a Murdaugh, and the Murdaughs don't get in trouble in this small, sleepy South Carolina town. So fast forward a year later, after they graduate from high school, this kid is walking down the road and he is run down and murdered, which they didn't deem an accident. They now think that it was a murder. And there were people at the time who said if anything ever happened to them, it would be Buster, because this kid, the gay kid, this kid tried to make Buster's life really difficult. And really, it was only being made difficult because they were asking Buster to assume responsibilities for his asshole behavior, which he apparently didn't like as a very wealthy, well-connected kid. And they're now reopening that case and looking at the remaining Murdaugh boy, Buster, as a prime suspect in what they are now ruling a homicide by vehicle. So
all that doesn't sound to me to be so juicy. It sounds like they're just going on a dude that was crazy enough to try to kill himself, but dumb enough to not know that he had a suicide exclusion clause.
You're absolutely right. This is not a story of the same ilk. However, the only reason that we're mentioning it is because there are so many moving parts to this, and it's a really wealthy, well-connected 1%er family down there in South Carolina who is having some really bad shit happen to them. And I think that's something that the regular working class Joe can get behind and enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Buster here is really just kind of the victim of some unfortunate circumstances.
Well, Buster has lost his grandpa. Buster has lost his mother. Buster has lost his brother. Buster's dad is going to jail.
For trying to kill himself to give Buster $10 million, but Buster would have never got the $10 million if the dad would have been successful.
That wing of the family is broke. Buster is now going to have to rely on the kindnesses of his two uncles, who are super pissed at that wing of the Murdaugh family because they embezzled so much money from the family law firm. So, yeah, Buster might learn what it's like to live in a shady apartment off the tollway. I mean, the rest of Buster's life may not be as perfect as Buster had thought. It's been a lot. So that's essentially the whole story. I mean, there's more to find out. I mean, now they have really...
what happened to the guy that tried to murder him? Has he been charged?
Yeah, he's in jail. Yeah, he's in jail for attempted murder. And guess who testified against him? Alex Murdaugh.
Hey, man, he was doing you a solid.
And scene. That's it. He's in rehab. He's in cushy rehab. But the guy that he brought in to hold this thing, this dude was not doing anything except probably drinking wine out of a paper bag. And now all of a sudden he's in jail for the rest of his life because he cut a deal with a rich guy.
I mean, I get why it's upsetting that he testified against the guy. But if you survive a botched suicide attempt, aren't you going to testify against the guy?
Well,
I mean,
he's facing his own charges. And I think the calculus here is that if I cooperate with the state in putting the dirtbag nobody cares about in jail, maybe they'll take it a little bit easier on me when they turn the barrel in my direction.
What if he didn't? What if he hurt him in a way where he was, in a wheelchair,
except
and he didn't kill him?
What if ifs and nuts were candies and butts?
Well, but I'm just saying, I mean, you don't want a guy that's capable of pulling the trigger on you in 30 minutes.
Come on. This is an idiot plan from the beginning, man.
Well, it is. I mean, they both need to be in jail for a long time. But I think if one guy goes, the other guy needs to go too.
All right, James Parker, we're long past our time here. What do you want to say? You want to sum this up? You got anything you want to leave us with?
Well, I would just like to hear your theory on who killed the wife and son.
My theory is leaning that we're going to find out that this Alex Murdaugh was involved with some very sketchy, scary people, and that the murder of his wife and son was probably some sort of a cartel hit to, give us our money, that kind of a thing. I watch Narcos. That seems very in league with the way Narcos operates.
Wasn't that good? I loved it. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Just wanted to check.
So you think it's the drug, his place where he's getting the drugs killed his wife and son?
I think I don't know the specifics, whether it's drugs or drug related. He's a drug addict and he's saying he spent all this money on drugs. And again, I take it with a grain of salt. What I truly believe is that this guy, Alex Murdaugh, is involved with some very sketchy people. And that's probably why his family was killed in a way the police described as execution style. Wasn't even accidental. Well, it wasn't, James.
See, I think guy that killed him, that killed the wife and son, was somebody related to the girl that was 19 and got shot. Or got hit by the boat, by the drunk guy.
I don't think so. I think that's just exposition about what a bunch of.
And I think that's what the attorney was referring to.
Family is. All right, maybe. All right, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow at noon.
But wait, we do agree they're connected to the lesbians, right?
Yes, we do. That is one thing I think we can all agree on. It comes full circle. Brian Laundrie is probably. What if Brian Laundrie is the guy that was shaking down Alex Murdaugh? What about that?
And scene.
You thought about that? All right, we'll be back tomorrow at noon for a high noon edition of Pugs and Company. Me and Sunglasses do that every day at noon, and we go through all the topics that are, trending, things people are discussing, whatever's hot in the moment. Today's hot topics, as they call it on The View. That's what we do at noon every day, right here on Pugs and Company. And then we come back at 10 o'clock p.m. for this, the Pillow Talk edition. Thank you to James Parker. He's down there in New Orleans. That's Sunglasses. He's like right there. I can see the light in his window there. I can see him over there. There you go. All right. Good night, Sunglasses. And you got the dog. So I'm not going to have, there he is. I see her behind you.
I do.
All right. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow at noon for High Noon with me, Pugs Moran, Pugs and Company, with special co-host Sunglasses tomorrow at noon on the Radio Misfits Network. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.